Hello and welcome to another 5-minute comic book reviews. I'm your host Kevin Given. If you love comics as much as I do, you're going to subscribe to my channel. I review comics for Comic Crusaders. I also have my own franchises, Adolescent Radioactive Samurai Platypi and Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter. They're available on Comics Central, Indie Planet, and Comixology. Check them out. We're going to do our official launch in October 2018. Stay tuned to this broadcast for more information. Also, like the Facebook pages for each franchise for more information. Check out my Patreon site for some neat original artwork and shows that you won't find on YouTube. Today we're going to review Mystery Science Theater 3000 number 2, followed by Batman The Silver Years. First, Mystery Science Theater. I love this comic. It's so totally unique. As a fan of original Golden Age and Silver Age comics, as well as today's comic book world, I can't get enough of what the MST3K team is doing. In this issue, Josh and Crow take a trip to the golden era of comic book creation as they land in an issue of The Black Cat, and not Felicia Hardy, the villain love interest of Peter Parker, but Linda Turner, Harvey Comics' female protagonist, whose character is in public domain and first appeared in 1941. Crow also winds up narrating his own Tales from the Crypt-style anthology comic. Looking at the creative team, our writers keep the energy flowing as they go back and forth between the modern era and Golden Age-style storytelling. Our villains, led by Dr. Forrester's daughter, drop a Black Cat comic into the machine, which makes its way to the Satellite of Love, and Jonah, along with Crow, are teleported directly into the comic book. They land in the sidecar of this title's hero's motorcycle. She looks understandably confused as they just appear next to her. What draws the reader into the story is the total surprise element of not knowing what to expect next. It's wacky, it's zany, and it prompts a chuckle or two on every page. Cynthia pops up in time to prevent Bud Abbott's stunt double from making it to the studio while attacking him with Tortino's pizza rolls. Josh rightly discerns that there were no Tortinos in 1946. Great stuff includes Crow disappearing from this issue and winding up in a comic called Horrific, an homage to Tales from the Crypt-style comics of the 1950s, pre-Seduction of the Innocent, and Josh winds up working as a 1940s-style DJ. Todd Knock takes on the chores of drawing the modern-day narrative scenes, and he captures our heroes perfectly in a slightly cartoony but realistic enough so that it almost seems like we're watching an episode of the show. The panels bleed into each other so well that it helps with the reading of this story and keeps the story flowing. Jack Pollock takes the old-style artwork, and it's awesome, complete with a slight yellowing of the borders. He does a great job of transporting us back to those golden days of yesteryear. The art is so good, you would almost think you were witnessing Al Gabriel originals. The transition from modern art is seamless and makes the experience even more fun. Pun intended. Highlights include the arrival of Tortino's pizza rolls in 1946 and the car crash panels. In conclusion, it's wild, it's zany, it's all-encompassing of two great eras of comic book storytelling. MSTB3K is a complete winner and should be with us for a long time to come. There is absolutely nothing like this on the market today, and it should link new comic book readers with the curiosity of what's gone on before. We fans of old-style comics can have a lot of fun with these issues, and it gives us a chance to read new stories from a Golden Age perspective. I give it 4 stars, an 8.9 rating. And now for my Batman Silver Age review. Bam! Zap! Pow! The Adam West Batman TV series changed the face of Batman for the 60s. It was now mod, hip, and everyone did the Bat-Tusi. For the first time, Batman comics outsold Superman comics, and the nature of the comic book changed to accommodate this incredibly popular show. The Joker was drawn to look more like Cesar Romero. In fact, for a long time, the Joker hadn't even been in the comics, and it was the TV show that revived the character. The Joker was brought back to newspapers thanks to the success of the show, and now IDW has brought back those thrilling strips for us to relive in this dynamic era. Looking at the creative team, Whitney Ellsworth at first was not considered to be the man to bring Batman to the newspapers. He moved to Hollywood in the 1950s to work on the Adventures of Superman TV series, and he was on the wrong side of the country. But he had a flair for what needed to be done, and these newspaper strips emulated the TV series much better than the monthly comics did. And it was also the newspaper stories that brought back Alfred, who had been killed off in an earlier comic book. And this was in a time when most comic characters who died usually stayed dead. Maybe it was the return of Alfred that sparked the killing off and returning from the dead trope in most superhero comics. Something to think about. Ellsworth brings the sensibility of the TV series to these syndicated series. Batman says, "To the bat poles, Dick!" To which Master Grayson responds, "Holy fireman, Bruce! You bet!" Then you can almost hear the TV theme song, na 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 Batman, as the dynamic duo leap into action. These syndicated stories were quick and to the point, and were an easy read on purpose. For the reader who didn't have time to invest into long drawn-out tales of suspense, great stuff includes the corny, over-the-top narration reminiscent of the TV show, and the right composition of these quick tales, written to entertain without a lot of character depth. What brings us back to these strips are the cheesy one-liners and campy situations that our heroes get into each week. Sheldon Moldoff's style suits these syndicated stories to a T. It's fun to watch the characters thrown into exaggerated situations, and watch as Moldoff gets them out of said situations with a reach into Batman's utility belt, which seems to hold everything but the kids to sing. The nature of newspaper strips would seemingly make it difficult for an artist to get much across with the limitations of the tight panels. Moldoff does an expert job with as little as he's been given to work with. Highlights include seeing the characters drawn to look more like the actors from the TV series, and the action situations our protagonists and antagonists slip in and out of with the greatest of ease. In conclusion, once again, IDW brings back some fond memories and brings us great literature that most of us may have forgotten existed. The Batman has never been the same as when he took on these costumed clowns that should be easy for the Gotham Police Department to spot with their eyes closed. But somehow they always needed Batman and Robin, two other costume clowns that don these costumes with the greatest of ease. I had so much fun, I wish I could review each and every story, but alas, I don't have the bat time. So, just trust me, they're worth the read. 4.5 stars, 9.3 rating from this comic book reviewer. And that's all the time we have with this show for Comic Book Reviews. I'm your host, Kevin Given. Check out my other show, Comics Let's Talk. Head to my Patreon site, check out what I've got going on there, and have a good time. Keep reading those comics.